good day. It is the best day of my life. Why? Because it's the only day of my life. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow is a fantasy. But right now, here is where we are. It's where you are too, if you're watching this. Even if you're watching this 10 days later, the here is where you are right now. Problem that we have in life oftentimes is that we constantly reminisce about the past or regret it, or we reflect, or we ruminate on what the future is going to look like rather than reflecting intentionally and being mindful about where we are. And quite honestly, reflection is something you ought to schedule, something that you ought to do on purpose. You ought not be in your head. Now, today is 700 days without anxiety, 700 days without fear, 700 days without any of these things that used to plague me continually over and over and over again. And so you might ask, well, how is that possible? But the truth is that it was very hard. The truth is that the process to get to this place was really up to me. I had to do the work, and I had to face every truth about who I was. The truth that I didn't like. The truth about the fact that majority of who I was really just a layer of somebody else's idea. The truth of the fact that there's very little authenticity in me until 700 days ago. But I couldn't see it. And so many of you would ask the question, who am I? So many of you would ask the question, what do I need? Why does life feel unfulfilled? And in the religious sense, people say, oh, you just need Jesus. That is about the dumbest cliched answer I've ever heard. It may be true, but what are you going to do with that? Or maybe say, we need to find yourself. That's true too, but what are you going to do with that? See, we're really easy and quick to give just these one-off answers. And it's just, we just walk away thinking, hey, the world's going to be a better place for that person because we gave them the quick answer. We told them to make a decision. Well, life is about decisions. Like, what decision are you going to make today that's going to make a difference for your tomorrow? But just because you make a decision doesn't mean it's the right one. Because most of the decisions that we make are influenced by the things outside, the things of old, the things inside. The voices that drive us sound like us, but they're really not us. They're an amalgamation of all the different ideas and beliefs and limits and expectations that are just piled upon us. And folks, you hear it all the time, right? This isn't new. The pandemic opened up a box of introspection that has created an emotional renaissance. But the reality is those who are coming to a place of freedom, coming to a place of absolute self-discovery, they're doing so by learning who they really are already, not by becoming some new version. Somebody said to me, some months back, oh, this is like, what is this, James 3.0? No, this is James Prime. For the first time in my life, for 700 days, I've been authentically me. The amplified life that I live has more impact than anything that I've done over the last 27. And I'm very thankful for it. Another thing that is true about this place when you live here is that while it seems cliche, other people's opinion of you really don't matter because it's none of your business. I teach in one of my programs about when my 11-year-old daughter was stressing over some of the things her friends were saying to her, or so-called friends were saying to her online, and they were calling her names and saying that she was cruel. And I said, oh, is that true? And she's like, no, but it feels bad, and maybe I am being mean. So she began to second guess herself. She began to doubt the very nature of who she was. And so I said, no, you're a grape popsicle. She looks at me, tears running down her face. She's like, Dad, what are you doing? What do you mean? That's so silly. You're a great popsicle. I think you're a great popsicle. And she began to laugh, and I said, that is how absurd it is for you to listen to someone else tell you that you're cruel, or that you're mean, or that you're manipulative, or that you're not loving. Now, if they're true, it's one thing, but if you know they're not, and it makes you second guess who you really are, Look at it as if they've just called you a grape popsicle. And you can say, thank you, I love grape. It's my favorite flavor. See, we're all looking for answers. Some of you are going to listen to this and you're going to think, well, Tippins is just lost himself. But I have not, have found me. And this isn't a phase. It's not a fad. It's not a 700 days is not a short stint. Folks, let me tell you something. Knowing who you are and living authentically as that person is the purpose of your life. Now, if you are a person of faith, you give glory to God in the fact that you find your identity in Him. Great. But if you're not, you need to start searching. I appreciate it. I appreciate the sentiment. But in reality, I'm not looking for sentiment. I'm not looking for anyone to agree with me, because I know that the message that I'm sending in the spiritual sense, in the human sense, in the psychological sense, and all the other areas of life is true. And you don't have to believe me, and you don't have to agree with me. And quite honestly, I'm not talking to you if you don't. I'm only talking to the people with real ears to hear that the message of freedom and autonomy, the message of empowerment, the message of knowing yourself is resonating with you. But now here's the kick. We look at social media just like this. We watch clips, we read things. I've read 300 books in the last 2 years, and none of them really helped. They just gave me another opportunity to pick another identity. But when I sat at the bottom, when I sat at the darkness, when I peered into the mirror of my soul and I saw what I did not like, I had to ask myself, is this who I really am, or is this who other people have made me? And then I had to face the reality that nobody made me anything. That every decision that I made put me to the place that I was. So in the same way, the decisions moving out of this could take me somewhere else. Day 700. No anxiety, no stress, no fear, no triggers. My triggers are treasure, my fear is my fuel. Those things that used to be anxious are anticipatory journeys. And it's not a fleeting silliness. It's a reality of the life that I live. So what's it for? Why am I on here? Just wanted to share it with you. Day 700, big deal. Day 7,000, day 70,000, whatever it might be for you, my hope is that you find a path, that you find the right path, and that you listen to the people who are on that path and have walked it, not the ones who are just giving you talking points that they've figured out either through copycatting or maybe they made them up off the spot. It's not about what we learn. It's about what we can do with what we've learned. Knowledge is not really power. Wisdom is the power. So follow those who've walked in the path ahead of you. Follow those who lead. Who are the leaders? The leaders are the ones who are going where they're going. They're not looking over their shoulder. They're not standing behind with a whip. They're not barking orders. They're just going. A dear mentor told me years ago, James, you're going to lead a lot of people in your life. You've got a lot of unique skills with your personality that are going to serve you well in the people business. But if you're going through life and you turn around and there's no one behind you, you're not a leader at all. You're just a man taking a walk. The funny thing is that I wasn't even leading myself for so many years. So you want to go? Just keep listening. Follow me. This is the best day